She said she was a hot wife, but I didn't believe it. Shocking confessions from anonymous strangers of the internet. I didn't claim my mother's body when she died. I don't know what happened to her and I don't care. So for context, I am male and 30 years old and my mother was 48 years old. As an infant, about 2 months after I was born, my mother tried to sell me to my grandmother for $100. My grandmother gave her the money and told her to never come back, and my grandparents raised me. My grandmother knew my mother was a drug addict and a lady of the night, which is why she took me in. My father is an unknown male who slept with my mother in the year 1992. It could have literally been anyone is my understanding. I was born with genital herpes because my mother has it, but by some miracle I wasn't a drug baby because she had the self-control to not do drug while pregnant. I didn't meet my mother until I was 23. She found me on Facebook and we talked and met, and she asked me for money within the first hour of meeting her. We would talk sometimes on Facebook, but I never had much of a relationship with her. I asked her if she knew who my father was and she had no clue. She said she was working a lot back then and had no way to know who it was. I never really was interested in having much of a relationship with her, especially because she would ask for money all the time. I never gave her any, and she was usually on some drug when I'd talk to her. My grandparents passed away years ago and I got a call a few months ago that my mother passed away from a brain hemorrhage. I just said, "Oh, okay. Thanks for letting me know." They asked me if I was handling her funeral arrangements and going to claim the body, and I said nope. And they tried explaining I was her next of kin, and I told them I don't care and she wasn't anything to me and not my responsibility, and hung up. I'm assuming they just cremated her or buried her somewhere. I honestly don't really care or think about it. I hated her for most of my life. After meeting her, I realized that she was the best mother she could be by staying away. I simply wasn't interested in having a relationship with her, and she only wanted drug money from me, so I didn't want anything from her. I haven't thought about it since, until someone who knew about my estranged relationship with my mother asked if I heard from her, and I told them she died, and they asked when the funeral was, and I told them no idea if there even was one, and that I refused to claim her body. They couldn't believe I did that and said that was an evil and cold-hearted thing to do. I had nothing in common with this woman besides my DNA and the same strain of herpes. She wasn't anyone to me other than someone who abandoned me in favor of selling her body and getting high, then begged me for drug money upon meeting me after 23 years. I wasn't about to shell out money I don't have on her death. I don't feel as though I owed her anything or did anything wrong by washing my hands of her and letting the state or other people take care of her remains. I cried when my grandparents died because they raised me and took me in after my mother dumped me off there. I know most of you probably think I was cruel to my mother, but she abandoned me in life, so I abandoned her in death. I don't feel guilty at all. Somebody replied, "She was only your mother in a biological sense of the term. Other than that, she wasn't a mother nor even a good person to you. You shouldn't feel bad whatsoever. There's no connection there to make you feel that way. Your friend simply doesn't understand. Most likely because he or she has a strong connection with their mother and was raised thereby. Some people can't conceive growing up differently and project their experience and emotions on other people's. I killed a mother and her child with Down syndrome indirectly. Last year I was hanging out with my friend, who had Down syndrome but was nice and pretty smart, while our mothers were having coffee. This cafe has a concrete slope next to some stairs outside, and we used to just slide down as if it were a slide. While we were doing that, I tried to slide down on my feet, and he, who was a bit chubby, tried, even though I warned him not to because he was clumsy, and he fell and broke his foot. After that I felt a bit bad and I knew he was in the hospital for some scans. After about 2 weeks his mother contacted mine and said they caught COVID, and because of a lack of respirators they both died, mother after her son. I feel so guilty being the indirect reason a mother had to watch her own child with Down syndrome die while struggling to breathe and later dying herself. If I wasn't ballsy, he wouldn't try to copy me and get hurt, end up in the hospital where he would eventually die. What do I do? I genuinely believe humanity is too far gone, and part of me is calmed by the knowledge that one day we will no longer be around to scourge the earth. I can't tell this to anyone in my life as it is obviously a really dark thought and makes people uncomfortable. But sometimes I have a hard time not wanting to absolutely lose my mind and scream, so here I am. I don't know if it's an issue of too little too late, or just how humans are wired, but I believe we have damaged this planet and ourselves past the point of hope. I am active in various community projects because I feel a genuine calling to try and build a better future, and I do love the beauties and complexities of humanity. I do have such a deep respect for the fact that we ever existed. But I don't actually think we will make it, and I sometimes feel peace envisioning a future where we no longer hurt each other and the earth. So yeah. Saw an article about baby sea turtles eating plastic as their first meal. The release of our species from this planet will be a relief for life's other creatures and ourselves. I just threw my 30-year-old autistic son onto the street. No regrets. He is mid-high functioning. In middle school, he was, I would say, about above average. He was a math prodigy, made up his own language, aced his classes and was a whiz, although socially stunted. Then puberty hit, he stopped going outside, and he started destroying his, my, and the wife's property. We loved him enough to let it slide though, and he lived with us along with the occasional stay at a psych ward. Yesterday he killed a family cat after having a meltdown due to us trying to take his computer away after me and my wife caught him looking at anime hentai of girls who looked to be about 5. He threw my prized high school football trophy, wherein I won state, at the poor thing, causing its skull to split and its brains to spill out. I just about had it with him, wailed on them, threw him on the curb, and tossed his computers and gaming systems with him and told him if he ever came back I would end him. Haven't seen him since. I used a butt plug to counteract diarrhea. I was getting a flight from my nearest city in the UK to Tenerife. If you've ever been to Tenerife in July, it's hot as anything. So considering we had a heat wave in my corner of the United Kingdom, the cheap tin can aeroplane was definitely not a good idea, when you were out drinking with your mate 2 nights before flying. I knew my stomach was going to mess up because before lockdown, in 2019, I flew from Bristol to Riga in Latvia for a work-related trip and my stomach started to bubble mid-flight. My stomach is sensitive as anything, so the gas inside me from nerves and also drinking Schweppes and gin to calm the nerves, was like a ticking time bomb. I couldn't let out my farts because I was sitting beside a work colleague and a stranger was in the 3rd seat. I ended up co-opting myself a bit mid-flight because I was the window seat and couldn't get up to go to the bathroom in time. My cheeks were fairly wet and my hole was burning through the flight. It felt so horrible standing up to get off the plane. Lucky I was wearing black trousers. I just tied my hoodie around my waist. When I got into the airport I used the toilet and just threw my poop-stained underwear in the sanitary towel bin. Embarrassing as anything. My trousers had small diarrhea leaks but at least they were black. I had body spray in my bag so I just sprayed over the stink. So anyway, as you can see, I didn't want to repeat what happened in 2019. So I decided the best idea was to just wear a butt plug. I spent from mid-June to the 2nd week in July, training my butthole a little for a small plug. Of course the morning of the flight, I couldn't find the small plug I was training with. I got a cheap 3-pack set off Wish. So I grabbed the 2nd in size and plonked it into my butt. I sat beside my alcoholic father on the flight and my narcissistic mother. My mother insisted that I sat by the window seat. I got hot and sweaty because of the previous experience. My mother wanted the aisle seat to stop my father from ordering too many drinks. I could feel the pain of the plug in my hole, and the bubbling from the dodgy kebab I had the Saturday night on the tiles. The heat on the flight was intense, and if you've ever been on a cheap-as-hell aeroplane, you know that the sizes of the seats are awful, and the seat belts barely fit digging into your belly. My stomach was already swollen from the dogdy kebab and the mid-flight gas expansion. I could feel the combination of pressure from wanting to do a fart and a poo, to the butt plug digging into my anal gland. My mother was being a butt. She kept saying that I looked like dirt and that I shouldn't have went out drinking before going on holidays. She was right, but the only reason why I went out because it was one of my mates' leaving parties. She was moving to Australia for a year to work, so we were having one last night out with her before her travels. So good cause, just wrong timing, lol. But anyway, yeah, I was being scolded for going out drinking. That annoyed the hell out of me, and when I get upset I get weird fluttering in my belly and a lump in my throat. I literally could feel the poop trying to push past the plug, but it wasn't budging. Thank God. When we landed in Tenerife, it was so hot. Worse than the plane with next to no air conditioning. To make matters worse, we had to get a bus that was 1 hour to our accommodation. My butthole was like it had Satan's fingernail inside it. When we reached the accommodation, it was up 44 steps. The second I got into the apartment, I went into the toilet. I pulled the plug. Holy poop. Literally. The poop came spraying out. It was all over my hands and sprayed across the toilet seat, and to the back of it. The toilet seat looked like Augustus Gloop jumped out of the chocolate river and onto the toilet. I literally spent 1 hour cleaning up the toilet. There was loo roll left by the time I was finished. My mother was red-faced like a demon. I spent so long on the toilet. So yeah, I have no idea which was worse. Pooping myself in 2019 or using the butt plug to stop me from pooping myself. I guess it worked. But yeah. I don't know why I decided to share this story, but in a weird way I felt it was time. Maybe it will help other travelers. I slept with my therapist. I, a 21-year-old woman, slept with my therapist, 31 and male. It was not planned. We had run into each other at the store and decided to have coffee to talk. We got to talking and he then asked if I would like to meet his dog. So we got to his place, and after I had played with his doggo we were just talking stories, but he was very affectionate and touchy. I didn't mind, as I am an affectionate person as well. We laid down and next thing I know we're making out, which of course led to us having intimacy. After it was all over we were cuddling and he had mentioned that what we did was illegal and asked me to keep it a secret. I sent a video of a woman cheating to her husband. She was married with kids, but she was also reaching out for male attention on the internet by posting nudes and expressing fantasies about her husband. She said she was a hot wife, but I didn't believe it. She was cheating on her husband and she had a video of it. I pretended to be interested in it until she sent it to me. I got close enough to her until she gave me some info, which I used to track down her husband's Facebook. I sent him the cheating video. Turns out he had no idea. He consented to none of this. He divorced her and he kept the kids. Last I've heard, she is a heroin addict now. I despise infidelity of any kind. She's getting what she deserves. Thank you for watching till the end. I hope you enjoyed these confessions. What did you think of them? Let me know in the comments below. And be sure to subscribe so I can see you here tomorrow for another video.